Good morning, and let's just call this day one of our devotions. I got to be careful because I noticed that if I look at the camera, the my eyes go this way. I don't know why. That's so weird. So I'm going to try not to do that so that you don't think I'm cross-eyed. So instead, I'm just going to look straight right here. So if you've been following us on our church website, if you've been getting our emails, you know that this past Saturday, the church made a decision that we were going to cease having worship for the next two Sundays, and we would cease operations here at the church for the next 2 weeks. We'll reevaluate at the end of the 2 weeks, but in what we're reading from the CDC, I got to be honest with you and just, I'm always hopeful, but I'm not sure that we're not going to have to delay this even more in coming together and gathering together for worship. So in the meantime, we're going to do a couple of things just to kind of stay connected. One of the things that the ministerial staff is going to do is we'll have a daily devotion. It may be me sitting in my pajamas doing it, or me sitting in the office doing it, but we'll have just a time together, and we'll post all this at 12 noon every day, 12 noon every day. And then on Mondays, we'll have a weekly update where we just kind of get together, tell you what's going on in the life of the church, and what we think is coming down our way, and just so that we're all kind of connected and on the same page. I will let you know right now, if you want to know what the staff is doing, we're trying to think out of the box. We're trying to think, how can we take care not only of live out the mission and ministry of this church to know Christ and to make Christ known within the church, but how do we do that outside the church? And so we're doing that also. And then we need your thoughts and opinions. For example, Rob Gritton told me that he couldn't quite hear me, so I've got an earbud in, which serves as a microphone. So I think that looks weird, but I've got it in, and hopefully you can hear me better. So let's get on with our daily devotion. So last Saturday, we made a decision, like I said, to cease having worship for a while and to cease operations here at the church. And we were all that was going to start as you got with the email, if you got the email, at 9 o'clock on Saturday night. That's when it started. And we said 9 o'clock Saturday night because I had one last act of worship I had to do. I had a wedding. Now, I had the great opportunity to officiate at the wedding of Nate Francis and Emily Mitchell. And the reason this wedding was a little more special, all weddings are special, but this one, because Emily's father, Steve, chaired my search committee. He's one of the people who's responsible for bringing me to Murfreesboro, and I have a special connection with Steve and Kim and his family, and so this was very special. But I told towards the end of the worship, I always talk to the bride and groom, and I told Nate and Emily that in the middle of this pandemic, they would never forget this wedding. And because in the middle of this pandemic, Nate and Emily felt it was of the utmost to get married. We could have delayed this wedding. We could have put this wedding aside. We could have said, you know what, this is probably not the best thing for us to do, but we did it. And I'll be honest with you, we would have done it if it was just me and Nate and Emily. But what I said to this couple is that the act of marriage, their marriage, was a sign of hope for our church and for our community. And we've got to remember these moments of hope. As many of our older people self-isolate themselves, as many of us are worried and concerned, we've got to remember that. The church is the hope of this world. And so the text I use, which rarely do I use this text because it's just me, but the text I used was 1 Corinthians 13. Let me read it to you. If I speak of tongues of men and of angels, but do not love, I'm only a resounding gong or a clanging cymbal. If I have the gift of prophecy and can fathom all mysteries and all knowledge, and if I have a faith that can move mountains, but I do not love, I am nothing. If I give all I possess to the poor and give my body over to hardship that I might boast, but I haven't loved, I'm nothing. And love is patient, love is kind. It does not envy, it does not boast, it is not proud. It does not dishonor others, it is not self-seeking. It is not easily angered, it keeps no records of wrong. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices in the truth. It always protects. It always trusts. It always hopes. It always preserves. Love never fails. But where there are prophecies, they will cease. And where there are tongues, they will be still. And where there is knowledge, it will pass away. For now we know in part, and we prophesy in part. But when completeness comes, what is in part will disappear. And I always loved this the most. When I was a child, I spoke like a child. I thought like a child. I reasoned like a child. But when I became a man, I put those childish ways behind me. For now we see only in a reflection in a mirror. Then shall we see face to face. Now I know in part. Then shall I know fully, even as I'm fully known. And now, my friends, these three remain: faith, hope, and love. And the greatest of these is love. So as we continue on living in this brave new world, may we not only receive the love of God, may we love God, and may we love our neighbor. And know that I love you.